Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. There is something Junet Mohammed is talking about, and they want us to pay some attention because, as you know, that anything that politicians say normally have some well choreographed objectives. Junet Mohammed tweeted yesterday, and I saw this yesterday. We shall reject this both in parliament and public. Now this is the real state capture and 2027 elections. What is the hurry? And he shared that screenshot you are seeing there. An act of parliament to amend the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Act and for the connected purposes enacted by Parliament of Republic of Kenya as follows. And of course, if you look at it there, this act may be cited as that. Then the first schedule to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Act 2011 is amended in paragraph 1 by deleting and sub-paragraphs 2 and substituting therefore the following new paragraph. Now, when I saw it yesterday, of course, when he released it, he had not given out a clear statement on what exactly was. And now, after digging deep, we have now revealed what exactly were in that amendment. And there is, that screenshot is an amendment from UDA. It's amending the constitution of a selection panel that is supposed to oversee the process of replacing IBC chairperson and the two commissioners. So maybe let's give you a background a bit, because there are people who maybe do not still understand what exactly that works. On August 22nd, President Ruto announced vacancy in the offices of chairperson and that of two commissioners, that is Wafula Chebukati, Boyamolu, and I think there is the other one, also is supposed to leave the commission, and Abdi Gulie. So they're supposed to exit the commission in January. As of their contract is coming to an end. And according to the law, after President announcing a vacancy, he is supposed to constitute a 7-member and strictly 7-member selection panel. This is according to the Constitution, according to the Elections Act of 2011. That was enacted after the new Constitution was promulgated in 2010. So, after that selection panel, it is the selection panel that will oversee interviews, shortlisting, interviews, and forward a name to the president. Then the name president who did the selection then will be taken back to the parliament for voting. After parliament, the president will just appoint the chairperson. So I insisted that the process of even electing, of appointing a member of a commission was so pegged on presidential system, so that the signature of the president was almost becoming a common denominator in that process. And so that is according to the Elections Act of 2011. And I want us to get this one very clearly, because this is where the distinction is coming through about the constitutional change. The selection panel consists of 2 men and 2 women nominated from Parliamentary Service Commission. Then those are already 2 people. 1 by the Law Society of Kenya, that already makes it 5, and 2 by Interreligious Council of Kenya. So that's what makes it 7. That is what the Constitution, that is what is entrenched in the Constitution. Now, according to that amendment, the UDA team are reducing, instead of parliamentary service nominating 2, they want parliamentary service to nominate 1 man and 1 woman. Then parliamentary service commission, then public service commission to nominate 1 person. And I will tell you why personally, I don't go with this amendment. Parliamentary Service Commission to nominate one person, that's already 2 from Parliamentary Service Commission and 1 from Public Service Commission, that's already 3. Then 1 to be nominated by political parties liaison committee, that already makes it 4. Then 1 to be nominated by the Law Society of Kenya, 5. Then 2 to be nominated by Interreligious Council of Kenya. So what Ruto has done is there are 2 slots that are supposed to come from Parliamentary Service Commission that have been reduced. They're supposed to nominate 2 women, 2 men. So according to this amendment, they want Parliamentary Service Commission to nominate 1. And the 2 that are remaining, 1, they have introduced the stake of a nominee from Public Service Commission. Public Service Commission is different from Parliamentary Service Commission. Parliamentary Service Commission is led by the Speaker of the National Assembly, now Wetangula, and Public Service Commission is led by Felix Kosgei, who is the head of public service and the chief of staff in the executive office of the president. So this is why I have a problem. That if you look at the way that number has been split, who is the head of public service? That is already a status operative. If you look at the head of, and the deputies Nanok, the head of political parties liaison committee, Evans Misati, who is, I think, working under Anderito. And the Law Society is a neutral arbiter. I want to believe a representative that can be so neutral is this one of Law Society, and maybe from the Interreligious Council of Kenya. So, why do they want Parliamentary Service Commission to only nominate 2 instead of 4? I want to go and I want to support Junet on this ground. That kama ile group ya Wetangula, the Parliamentary Service Commission is nominating 4, there is a high likelihood that 2 would come from opposition and 2 would come from government. So already 2 people are strongly on the other side, because this is a commission that is not that neutral. It's infiltratable. That's the right English. So that with the initial arrangement, then 1 person from church becomes neutral, or maybe 1 person from the church, maybe if a Catholic, becomes a bit neutral. At least you can boost neutrality. But when you spread the spectrum of different commissions to nominate people to the panel, and the president has hands-on, can influence all these commissions, actually, I'm specifically, I can make this as my position, or the position of the board, that if Ruto allows many people, organizations, or other commissions to nominate people to the panel, it will be an avenue of influencing who to go into that panel. So what Junet is saying is making a lot of sense. The number is not reduced, but instead of Parliamentary Service nominating 4, they want Parliamentary Service to nominate 2. So that 1 would go to Political Parties Liaison Committee, which is of course a constitutional committee, there's no problem, and 1 with the Public Service Committee. When these 2 that have been introduced can be influenced by President Ruto, I don't know why they're not seeing it. And that is why Junet team are having a bit of a challenge with that. Now, what is the hurry for the changes? And what should actually worry, why this is something that really, of course, Azimio must look for, is the interest in the position of IBC chair, or rather of the other commissioners that are supposed to be introduced, to be replaced, indicates what is the special role that a chair would play in an election. And that is why we should not, that is what we should not even have. A situation where we are going to an election and there is a lot of veto power and a lot of special interest in a specific commissioner or chairperson of the commission. When you show indication that you really want to influence, you have a lot of influence into that, it doesn't augur well with our democracy or even election reforms. So even people who are then trying to craft this amendment, as Junet is saying, must be very careful because it actually shows bad intentions. That is it. Then, declarations by members of parliament that are allied to to President Ruto about constitutional changes are real. And I want to agree with Roselyn Akombe. Roselyn Akombe is telling Kenyans that, look here, believe what the politician is saying first. Any other thing, any other rejoinder to that is just a distraction. What he says is the real thing. And Roselyn Akombe was actually saying that they want to change the constitution. From what, these amendments to the IBC Act of 2011 is coming just a day after another uproar over a plan to alter, or rather to interfere, to remove presidential term limit. So one thing is here. Instead of sitting and pretty and saying, we can stop UDA from changing the constitution, we can stop UDA from doing that, I think we should, Azimio should be a little bit strategic on counter narratives. It's not enough to say we are going to stop, we are going to scuttle. Offer a solution. In fact, President Ruto might have good intentions that I want to do it differently. I don't know why everything else Ruto wants to be done differently, even though we have a constitution. But then they should propose. Instead of saying, tutapinga yote sema, let political parties nominate. Or let Azimio nominate, then UDA nominate. With that, it offers a solution instead of just saying we are scuttling. Opposition should be an alternative solution. Then, this conversation is out here to test what could be Raila's stand in the next general election. That is the mystery that everyone else wants to unravel. Is Raila in the ballot? That's the question. And that's what the answer Ruto wants, because Ruto knows, take this to the bank. If Raila is not on ballot and is not going to be a power in the next general election, then Ruto is going to just ride on, get his second term very easily. Even though I have very good analysis from Davadi, make sure you check out for it here. So it's just being floated to see what is Azimio's take, or what is Raila's take, what is Raila's stand on some of this. Now, the panel has originally to be constituted by Parliament nominating two, which is 4, then LSK and the Interreligious Church Council. Maybe someone might have sat somewhere and realized that it is not easy to compromise it. Because at Parliamentary Service Commission, utatuma wawili, na hao wawili ni kama watatoka Azimio, wengine watoke Sadia, ya UD, ya Kenya Kwanza. Then Interreligious Council, one may be evangelical, which may be with William Ruto, but if you pick Catholic, there is an element of neutrality. That's already 3. Then the neutral figure here is normally the LSK. So someone might have seen that, okay, if I go with this thing, and again, if you don't have a special interest on that, the new commission, then why would you hurry to amend a constitution or amend an act that is to alter a selection panel that is going to oversee the process of procuring a new chairman or new commissioners at IBC? The motive of even having to change a constitution before that panel is formed, and it will influence the decisions that are going to be made in replacing Chebukati, to me, they are not well intended. And I think what Junet is saying, we should pay some attention to it. As I finish, I take passionately the appeal that I made in my previous video that Nairobi is becoming ungovernable. Just today in the morning, I've received just one call. Utalikuwa na watch that my analysis, called me Kevin, my brother amedungwa kisu. There is another video in social media where kuna mama msichana anavuta bangi within hapo town, kwenda kupanda gari, and it's seen there. So something is amiss. Finally, as I finish, of course, this is not part of my analysis, but of course, there is a plea about what's happening in the society. Japhet Koome, the new police IG, I think his work is well cut out, and we need to have a diplomatic approach with the police, because behind corridor talks could be the men of uniform are actually in some sort of go slow. So we need to, yeah, someone was saying that police, they are feeling like there are a lot of police vigilance. So ukienda police station naambiwa enda huko kwa IPOA. We should get a solution. And that's the end of my bold analysis.